GETTYOn. The panel for tonight is Liam Fox, Laura Pidock, Roma Agrawal, George the Poet and Prue Leith. Over the past week, Russian spy Sergei Skripal was poisoned in a suspected Kremlin attack. Donald Trump threatened launch trade war with the EU. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince visited the UK. The government announced its plan to tackle the issue of housing, and Theresa May gave a major speech on Brexit. All of these topics could be discussed by the panel over the course of the hour-long programme, 11:45 p.m. and that's it. Another week of question time is over. Next week, Labour's shadow Brexit Secretary, Keir Starmer, will be on the panel in Dover, along with a member of the DUP and actor Brian Cox. The week after, David Dimbleby will be in Leeds, where the audience will all be under 30 years old. 11:42 p.m. Laura Pidcock says diversity isn't the issue. Laura Pidcock says she believes there need to be more women on company boards, before saying that she is more committed to promoting those from different economic backgrounds. 11:41 p.m. Roma Agrawal calls for change. Roma Agrawal has said that we judge success too much on who works long hours. She appears to imply that those who work less hours should still get the top jobs. Roma Agrawal calls for a change to the measure of success. 11:36 p.m. The final question of the night: do we want women reaching the top by merit or merely making up the numbers? 11:32 p.m. David Dimbleby demands to know Labour's political motive. Laura Pidcock slips up. She's just claimed that all decisions made by political parties have a hidden political motive. The Question Time host has now insisted she explains what Labour's political motive is for pledging to build more social housing. He's implied it isn't because they care about poorer families. Is it because you just want them to vote Labour, he asks. 11:27 p.m. Liam Fox says the Conservatives are the party of the working class. The government minister has pointed out that the Conservatives have built in more social housing over the past 7 years than Labour did in the 13 years in power. BBC Liam Fox has defended the Tories' record on social housing. 11:23 p.m. The audience are in agreement for a change. If the audience all agree with each other that more needs to be done to tackling the housing problem, they've called for more houses to be built and for rent controls. 11:20 p.m. The third question of the night: should the government learn from the EU and take control of the rented sector? 11:16 p.m. Roma Agrawal has called for the country to get behind Brexit. The structural engineer has said she is bored of politicians arguing between themselves over Brexit. She's called for consensus so that Brexit can be made a success. Roma Agrawal says get behind Brexit. 11:15 p.m. was the proof. Now the audience are also pulling apart Labour's EU position. Laura Pidock implied employment rights would be lost after Brexit. One member of the audience has asked her to point to any proof. The Labour MP appeared to struggle to back up her point. 11:11 p.m. Liam Fox attacks Labour's Brexit stance. Liam Fox has said it is just plain wrong to suggest that we can be in a customs union with the EU and still make trade deals around the world. He's implied Labour's suggestion of a deal is the worst of both worlds. 11:08 p.m. The EU is protectionist. A member of the audience has questioned why people are so obsessed with Donald Trump's America First rhetoric. He points out the EU is a protectionist trade bloc before indicating Brexit will give us the opportunity to increase trade around the world. 11:05 p.m. Prue Leith reminder to Remainers. Prue Leith has reminded Remain voters that there was life before the EU. She's said she remembers life before the Brussels Club. She also has a message for rebelling Tory MPs. She's told them to get behind Theresa May so she can get a good Brexit deal for the country. BBC Prue Leith says life before the EU wasn't a disaster. 11:02 p.m. Question 2. With Donald Trump's love of trade wars, will the UK come off badly outside the EU? 11:01 p.m. The Remainers have already begun. A member of the audience has argued the UK is more vulnerable to attacks from Russia outside the EU. It's taken just 10 minutes for the scaremongering to begin. 10:58 p.m. Laura Pidcock, under pressure from the audience, the Labour frontbencher has just called for strength against Russia. However, she's argued strength doesn't have to mean military action. In Quick rebuttal: one member of the audience has just pointed out that Labour wouldn't be able to use military force if they were in government because Jeremy Corbyn believes in cutting UK defence. The Labour leader is anti-nuclear weapons. BBC Laura Pidcock under fire from the audience. 10:54 p.m. Roma Agrawal says she can't comment on politics. Roma Agrawal has said she won't comment on how the UK should respond if Russia is found to be involved in the attack on Sergei Skripal because she's not a politician. Good job she's appearing on a political debate program. Then 10:50 p.m. Liam Fox calls for calm. International Trade Secretary Liam Fox has called for calm in the aftermath of the event involving the former Russian spy. He said a measured tone must be taken until there is proof of Kremlin involvement. George the Poet, however, appears to suggest that we should rush ahead and not wait for the facts. Instead, he's calling for immediate action to be taken against Putin. How would that impact diplomatic ties? 10:48 p.m. The first question: if the incident in Salisbury is linked to Russia, what action should we take? 10:45 p.m. We're underway. It's time. The familiar face of David Dimbleby is on our TV screens. Let the debate begin. BBC David Dimbleby is here to get us underway. 10:41 p.m. What might be the first question? The BBC used to announce the first question of the show in advance. However, in recent weeks they've chosen to keep viewers guessing, with the attack on former Russian spy Sergei Skripal dominating the news over the past 2 days. It's likely this could be the first topic of discussion. 10:34 p.m. The public aren't impressed with the lineup on Twitter. The public seem unimpressed with the lineup to this week's Question Time. Some are calling it the quickest panel ever. Will Liam Fox and Laura Pidock have enough to clash over to carry the weight of the rest of the panel? This must be the weakest panel ever assembled. I couldn't care less about what Prue Leith, George the Poet, or a token woman I've never
heard of have to say about anything. Early night.
Pidock. Laura Pidock serves in Jeremy Corbyn's shadow cabinet as Shadow Minister for Labour. She has been an MP for less than a year, only being elected to the House of Commons in last year's general election. SH represents North West Durham. Who is Liam Fox? Liam Fox is the International Trade Secretary in Theresa May's government. A staunch Brexiteer, it's his job to organise trade deals for the UK after we leave the EU. The MP for North Somerset was also previously Defence Secretary between 2010 and 2011 under David Cameron's reign as Prime Minister. Who is Prue Leith? TV personality and restaurateur Prue Leith is a judge on the Great British Bake Off on Channel 4. She has founded Leith's School of Food and Wine, as well as written a number of cookbooks and novels. Who is George the Poet? George the Poet is a spoken word artist who last month released a single with the rapper Maverick Sabre. He has also studied politics at Cambridge University. Who is Roma Agrawal? Roma Agrawal is a structural engineer who worked on building the Shard in London. She has also founded a campaign to promote studying maths and